Welcome to the Sweet and Condensed Podcast, a podcast by wandering people but never lost, watching movies and exploring the magic that lives where they meet.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Sweet and Condensed Podcast. It has been how long, Josh?
Months, years, maybe?
Months, years, maybe.
Long time.
The last time we recorded a video, it was live in person for the Odyssey, which was a blast. So not a podcast. Josh, you had a podcast, though, more recently with one of your doctor friends.
He turned all our audio into a podcast from Odyssey. It just doesn't have video. What was it? What did we do? Oh, Disclosure Day?
Disclosure Day.
Yeah. We did Disclosure Day.
Well, welcome back. The last time we were on the podcast, we had a special guest, Kelly. She's part of the newsletter, of course, but she's a special guest because she ditches our podcast all the time. And I'm going to take this moment to try to get us some money. Sponsor us, Liquid Death. They sell these at Costco now.
Really? What are they?
I got the family hooked on them. You never had Liquid Death?
No, I've had Liquid Death, but I don't know what this curry Cataberry that you're drinking. Am I drunk? Can I see? What does that say?
Cherry obituary?
Oh, I can't read, dude. I think I need better glasses.
So much so, the family, so much, I am drunk. They're so addicted that Ellie legitimately got one from the fridge in the backyard, came inside and said, Liquid Death, and then drank it. Like, it's a thing in our household now. Okay, for this episode, guys, we're going to be disciplined. We're going to give you a nice, cool, quick 30-minute banger. We're going to be talking about, I text Josh that I want to talk about Chernobyl because usually what happens is Josh has this really long list of things, whether it's movies, podcasts, TV series, for like Kelly and I to watch. I would say the Sweet and Condensed crew, but Sarah Warland is MIA, and she might be on a performance improvement plan at this point.
Pep her up.
Sarah, if you're out there, just let us know. Anyways, so he'll have this list of things for us to watch, and we completely ignore him every time. But I will send Josh a text, say, hey, dude, Chernobyl bangs. You remember it? And somehow within the 2-day span, he's finished the series. It is not, let the record be set. It is not because he trusts my recommendation. It has nothing to do with Eric has good taste. Let me watch it. It's just who he is.
Pettiness.
So he finished it. It's pettiness. It's for the bit, to be honest with you. I can fucking do this. Anyways, so I started watching Chernobyl, tried to get Kelly to watch it. She fell asleep 10 minutes in. I got all the way through episode 2 and she goes, no, I'm awake. Started over. I went back to where we were in episode 1. She fell asleep as I was getting to that spot. So she failed to watch. But we're going to be talking about Chernobyl Diaries, HBO original, quick 5-banger, short miniseries about the true story in Chernobyl. I'm very excited. You had seen this before, right, Josh?
I have. I think I've actually seen it through twice by this point. But it is so good. If this is my third watch, there are things that I must have forgotten, not thought about. But I feel like you can watch this over and over and over. And it's going to speak in ways that are different. And I've been thinking about, too, you know how when we say things age well?
Yeah.
You think this show's aged well?
Oh, I mean, like fine wine.
It's 7 years. So I guess I don't know when you start considering aging, but I've been thinking about maybe the movie ages well, but so do we. Because I'm maybe it's because I'm the how I've aged. That's why it feels different. Anyways, it's not profound. I'm sure people have thought about this. What I'm saying is we're thinking about it right now. And I don't know, maybe it's because the kid stuff, nephews, nieces, I'm surrounded by babies these days. So I don't know if that just makes me more grounded to the sanctity of life, or maybe it's because I'm literally saturated in politics with my day job where I'm just thinking about maybe the bureaucracy and just structures, government lies, all that stuff of how does this happen? And why do you hide this for the sake of what? Pride? It's just the insanity of it. And also to think that this was only 5 years before I was born. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's
Wait,
not
and I want to
long ago.
I want to correct the record. It is not called Chernobyl Diaries. Chernobyl Diaries is a absolutely garbage horror movie from 2012. That is not what we're talking about here. So before we get into it, real quickly to set the record straight, Chernobyl, 2019 HBO miniseries, creator writer Craig Mazin, director Johan Renck, main cast Jared Harris, Stellan Skarsgård, Emily Watson, Paul Ritter, Jessie Buckley. Insane. I can't
No idea.
same here. But to your point of like being able to rewatch it, you were going a deeper route about how we grow, which I appreciated
Buckley?
much more than just.
Oh,
But I'm going on like that. No. Okay, I'm getting sexual immediately. That's crazy because that's a great. I'd never thought of it that way actually. Did the show age like fine wine, or did we? Did we mature in how we digest it?
right. And not okay. I'm not gonna go too big of a tangent. We need to do another episode because we've done this prior with a special guest. Shout out Brian White. 10th anniversary of La La Land is this year. They re-released it in theaters, and that was the thought I had when I was watching La La Land. I was like, did this age well or did I? Because this is fucking me up right now in a way that never has. Anyways, back to Chernobyl. Had no idea this was Jessie Buckley until we looked it up 5 minutes before this episode. So, Eric,
Letterboxd. What is the cost of lies? The true story of one of the worst man-made catastrophes in history. The catastrophic nuclear accident at Chernobyl. A tale of the brave men and women who sacrificed to save Europe from unimaginable disaster. Now, here's the thing too. I really quick to follow up your tangent. I was talking to my mom the other day. In 2008, it was Thanksgiving. Always our tradition as family to go see a movie on Thanksgiving, as is a lot of families. She took us, I was 14, to see The Boy in Striped Pajamas. Have you ever seen that movie?
no,
Do you know what it's about?
yes,
Just devastating war movie about the Holocaust and this sweet little innocent boy. Anyways, we were joking and she was like, oh my gosh, we're joking about holidays. And she's like, oh my gosh, did I traumatize you? This is literally like 2 days we were talking. I said, we used to say, oh my gosh, you traumatized us by taking us to see this really sad movie on Thanksgiving. But now I'm like, maybe thank you. Because like maybe that set me on this trajectory of loving sad movies. I don't know. I don't know why I thought that. Maybe
that's
we
fair.
age like fine wine because we interpret. I'm appreciating this show so much. And it is the first episode of Chernobyl is scary. It's like haunting. It might be the best way to describe it. And I loved it and appreciated it when it came out in 2019. So it's what, 7 years ago? But I think now just digesting the performances from everybody, the reality of this being a true story, it was scary, but it was beautiful. The way they shot it. Barry Keoghan is also in it,
Oh yeah,
which is
yeah.
very bizarre, very weird. His scenes are pretty gnarly. And I think to your point, Josh, you put some cool quotes from the show in our notes. The opening line here. What do you
Dude,
have?
that opening monologue is haunting.
Oh yeah. He says it's Legazov, which is Jared Harris. Okay, really quick plug. When I watched this first in 2019, I was drawn to it because of Jared Harris, because of Mad Men. So if you've ever watched Mad Men, anybody listening or watching, Jared Harris is a big piece of Mad Men, and he is phenomenal. And I was like, I got to watch my guy in Chernobyl. Didn't appreciate Skarsgård or anybody else. Didn't really know who Jessie Buckley was or even Barry Keoghan in 2019. I should have appreciated Skarsgård. That's a skill issue on my part. But he was the draw. So anyways, Jared Harris plays Legazov, and his opening monologue is, what is the cost of lies? It's not that we'll mistake them for the truth. The real danger is that if we hear enough lies, that we no longer recognize the truth atoll. I feel like that's how he ends it, atoll. And then he, spoiler, kills himself. That's spoiling a show from 70. Sorry.
Just kidding. We're spoiling this whole thing.
We're definitely spoiling. Not that there's much to spoil. It's a true story. Okay, that's one of the things I also appreciated. I was doing some reading yesterday that most historians appreciated the show. Yes, they took some creative liberties. And one of the characters, it might even be Jared Harris's character, is like a combination of a few people who are involved. So they took a few creative liberties, but like set-wise, historic accuracies are there. So that critics loved it, viewers loved it. It was just really well received.
It was Emily Watson's character, Yulana.
Yes, that's it.
she's the collective scientists who spoke out that were either imprisoned, removed, fought, like all the people that, which I thought was a really cool way of keeping it like to the spirit of it, but embodying it in one character makes it a little bit, more of a simple storytelling, tactic, because
Oh
otherwise,
yeah, you have 5 episodes.
dude, we could have had like 8 seasons of this or something. But the fact
Yes.
that they were able to do what they do in 5 hours or 5 episodes is so impressive. And but to your point about what drew me was actually Stellan Skarsgård. I know Jared Harris. I truly did not know who Jessie Buckley was at that time.
Yeah.
I'm a sinner, but I knew Barry Keoghan, but I didn't know he was in it until he popped up. But I only knew him from like at the time Dunkirk, because I think I watched Killing the Sacred Deer after this movie. But to the opening dialogue about lies, and I think it's in episode 5 where someone said they believe the downfall of the Soviet Union was Chernobyl, and I just thought that was like speaking to this idea of truth prevailing, or like the not recognizing the truth keeps going and going, because there was another line in there that says every lie we tell incurs a debt to the truth. Sooner or later that debt is paid.
Ooh,
I believe is Valery
crazy.
stuff. Jared Harris's character, dude, that shit hit so hard. And I think, again, going to like what the opening dialogue, episode 1, episode 5, the last episode, that saying that in the courtroom, and then just seeing the aftermath, the downfall, it made me want to read about the Soviet Union history, because I know it existed. I know it dissolved, I think in like 91, which is the year I born, shout out. But how does a whole place, we went from it being one of the bigger superpowers and the world is like fearing them, to non-existing within 5 years. And they attributed it to this incident, obviously because it was like decimating kilometers of land and people and life and all that stuff. But to completely disappears is pretty interesting. And then them to attribute it to lying, I just thought, I don't know what I'm more so than I'm thinking about that. Just that idea that like the impact lies happen, that the impact that lies have, and when lies are no longer recognized. Sorry, we hear lies enough that the truth is no longer recognized at all. The destruction of that. I don't know. That sat with me for a very long time. I'm still thinking about it.
This next line that you have in here, the quote that it chills for this one, when it said, "The truth doesn't care about our needs or wants. It doesn't care about our governments, our ideologies, our religions. It will lie in wait for all time."
Oof.
That is like, what's so funny too is, so the way they displayed the character, oh my gosh, Dyatlov, played by Paul Ritter.
Yes.
Who is responsible. His character, this is what's so impressive about the show, 5 episodes, right? They're an hour long, 50 minutes or so. But what's so impressive is the very immediate character development of everybody. So Dyatlov, from the jump, 10 minutes in, this guy's a piece of shit. His demeanor in the midst of crisis, like some of his first words, I'm pretty sure, is pointing blame.
Right.
At others. And then you see, I think it's in episode 4 when he's visited in the hospital by Emily Watson's character, and there's like a redacted statement from his previous research, and like his whole career is built on lies, and even to he's dying of radiation sickness, and he's still holding true to the lies that he told and the pride that he has. And like, I don't know, I love how quickly they developed characters. Another thing on that note, so Chernobyl disaster happens, fire, the town doesn't know what's going on. Like, nobody understands the danger of the radiation immediately. So it's that scene where all of the town folk come out to kind of watch the fire, and the firefighter's wife, so all the firefighters get called, is out there, and a couple with their baby is like walking towards the fire, kind of jovial, like, "Oh, let's go check it out." And she's like, "Oh, it's a fire. Isn't it pretty dangerous?" And he goes, "Fire? It's over there and we're over here." And the firefighter's wife kind of has this look on her face. Do you remember that scene where, the guy's like, "Oh, sorry." And it's even that, just these quick moments of side characters that you really never see again.
Yeah.
Just show like oh, the fire's over there. We're not in danger. We're fine. Like to go observe it because if it's not immediately impacting you, you don't really care how dangerous it is. And like the comedic part about, well, not comedic, that's a bad word. But what's funny about it is they were being affected by the radiation from the core exploding as they were observing. But I don't know, all of those little scenes of how people were treating. And then there were scenes of the kids playing in the ashes of the smoke. Is that what that was? Or of the core? I mean, just terrifying images. But they
Right.
did it all so quick. They developed characters so quickly. So I think, yeah, that's a good point you bring up of like combining those scientists into one person allowed them to do that.
I really appreciated the way they ended it with facts, stories, hearsay, with the text on the screen because they mentioned that
Yeah.
bridge being the bridge of death. Like that bridge is known as the bridge
Yes.
of death because allegedly everyone on that bridge died. And they just did such an excellent job with pride, nationalism, like the Dyatlov guy, the guy that you just mentioned about dying of radiate. And to the end, he was sticking to his lies because he rather suffer from radiation poison instead of a bullet. Because he even says that he's like, they're going to give me the bullet, and he was so fearful. It was almost as if the worst thing possible would be to receive a bullet, not just being shot, but receiving a bullet from the state, and the state is which you serve. Also, I looked it up because everyone called each other comrade, and I wanted to look that up. Like, why is everyone calling each other comrade? Because I thought it was like a militant thing or like a government thing. And I guess the Soviet Union, when it was created, they would address everyone as comrade because it showed equality. So there was no sir. They got rid of sir. They got rid of ma'am. They got rid of like class, almost like class addressments. Is that even a word? Addressments? You no longer address people by a certain, doctor, even though they use doctor, they have titles or whatever, but almost always it's comrade, comrade, comrade. And that was a way of equality, a way of speaking. I was like, oh, I did not know that was a thing. Anyways, that was my little tangent, but yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the side character, Jessie Buckley, because she's the wife of the firefighter.
Oh,
Dude, when she just refused to stay away from her husband because nobody knew. Like the fact that
yeah.
nobody was educated about what they were doing in these nuclear power plants and what they have. That was 17 of them because I believe in the show they said there's 16 other ones in our Soviet Union still working. So add Chernobyl, 17 of them. And yet nobody was educated on it because of pride and Soviet Union exceptionalism. They refused. It kind of reminded me of the Titanic, where it's like, this is an unsinkable ship. So why would we even put enough lifeboats on here? Where they're like, we are the best. And if we are not the best, then we would probably have to educate them. But there's no way that these are going to fail. So why would we? That is insane to me because dude, after watching this, I won't step near anything radioactive, not even close. Like, and it sounds shitty because I'm sure I would want to be near loved ones, but the way that Jared Harris's character Valeria describes the breakdown of what happens to people when they are radioactive sick to Stellan Skarsgård's character Boris Shcherbina was just absolutely horrifying. Like, and so the fact that one, she didn't know, two, I thought something is both equally haunting as almost beautiful, but not at all. It's like darkly beautiful is like, and it was an earth shattering, like heartbreaking line, but it was when the character who embodies all scientists, Komyuk, Yulana? Anyways, she says the line, they said the radiation would have killed the mother, talking about Jessie Buckley's character because she was pregnant, even though she lied to the doctors that she wasn't pregnant. And it says, but the baby absorbed the radiation instead. We live in a country where children have to die to save their mothers. And she's trying to tell Legazov that he needs to be truthful in the testament because of this reason. The fact that the baby's instinct, or even just life in itself, was like, to preserve life, I will keep this from her. That was like, again, I don't know if that mother would have gone, if she was educated, would she have done that? Would she have gone? And now this baby sacrifices itself for the mother, herself for the mother, right? And then I love the line at the end. They're like, she will never have a baby again. And then they were wrong. She has a baby boy and they live in Priv or Priet, I think. And
Yeah.
it reminded me of, dude, the giant, the Titan, Dr. Malcolm, what's his name? Jeff Goldblum, when he says in Jurassic Park, life finds a way. And even beyond the odds of them saying that this is, again, it's tragic, it's horrific. I wish it never happened. And also, life finds a way. Like the fact that a baby, she still was able to have a kid. Granted, I think it probably has some kind of radioactive sickness, but I don't know if you know this, there's life in there. Like some of the most wildest horses, I looked it up on an article earlier, but also I read one like a couple years ago. Life is back in Chernobyl. It's not necessarily humans, but dude, there's wolves, there's horses, the wild horses are roaming, deer. Like life finds a way, dude. Like they're saying it's not inhabitable for like hundreds, if not thousands of years. And dude, there's trees. And so that to me just is more of a testament that of the hubris of man, us being idiots and just destroying the earth and being fuckheads by doing stuff what we're doing. And yet we're like, oh, we have to shut down, no life, it's radioactive. And now there's a whole new population of life is kind of mind blowing.
Well, thriving without mankind.
Right.
It's like, that's why I just Googled it. That's so crazy.
Pretty
And
sick.
I think that's the thing is like the recklessness of mankind with others for the sake of pride. Because there's this scene, I think it's in episode 1 where they literally call them the bosses, which I loved in this show. Like, oh, call the bosses. So I'm curious where that comes from because that feels like a child's movie almost. Like, oh, the bosses are here. I don't know. Maybe that's just normal vernacular. Anyways, the bosses gather and make the decision like control the spread of they call it misinformation.
Right.
Because at this point, Dyatlov, the scientist responsible for it, engineer, whatever his role is, the shithead, still is adamant the core could not have exploded. And what's so crazy to me is like how prideful they are of like, oh no, it didn't explode. All these dudes are coming back sick, all his guys. He won't go look because he knows, because he would expose himself to that danger. And that's what killed me. But the bosses have gathered and they're like, control the spread of misinformation. He says, what does he say? The old man is trying to like rally the comrades.
Yeah.
And I wanted to push him over, like tip him like a cow and he'd never get up again. And I know it's just an actor and I have to control my emotions. But he says this like in this haunting way, like shut down the city or like, basically like bar people from leaving. Yeah. Lock down the city. And it's like, they would rather potentially risk everyone's life than admit failure. And that is, most humans are not responsible for radioactive cores, but at a certain level, we can be guilty of that same sort of pride of like putting someone else at risk for our own pride, or we don't want to be wrong, so we'll let something fail. I don't know. That's crazy that is so inherently human, inherently male species. We're very prideful, but like just humankind in general can be prideful, but at the expense of others. That was one of the worst scenes of the fucking entire show because before they even knew, it's one thing to like know, and I don't know, people can argue that that's worse. I don't know. That pissed me off. And again, there can probably be some debate on who was responsible in that room. But the way they basically sentenced everybody to death, at least immediately, is just haunting that we're capable of that.
Right. No, I like just even the KGB, for example, like that role I forget who the name is and the actor, but that lead of the KGB, how he just talked about titles a lot and legacy and about the Soviet and even the Soviet Union's legacy, the hard work, their accomplishments. And then Valery Legazov is going to get promotions because he lied basically in Vienna. And KGB even said like the lies, he didn't even frame it as lies. He said the truth will be what we say it is, basically. And then at the end, when Legazov actually gives true testimony in the courtroom, he puts him in that room and he's like, well, I can't kill you now because that would make us look bad. He was like, we can't even punish him, but you'll keep your title, you'll keep your job, but you will not work. You will, no one will know your name. Lesser men will get credit for who you are, almost as if that was gonna like be a worse punishment than the millions of people who are going to be impacted and the thousands who died. But he's like dead set like this. He thinks like this is the most like worst thing he can possibly do. And he even told him it's going to be so bad that in history, it's going to be as if you never lived. Right. And that man, Valery Legazov, ends up, to Eric spoiling this whole show for everyone who was listening at the beginning. He killed himself on the 2-year to the date, April 26, 1988. So 2 years after Chernobyl burnt down. And because of that, the movie or the series says that everyone had to listen. They were forced to listen after that. And now he's immortalized in history. He on Wikipedia pages, on websites, in scientific communities. And now this is what I think too about that's cool about TV series or movies in general, whether they're, faithful adaptations or not, or directly, like this movie made me go look him up. This movie made, like, he is immortalized for this thing. And it breaks my heart to think that this man died thinking, I wonder if, or I'm assuming, I wonder if anyone's ever going to, is it really as if I never existed at all? And I'm wondering if he got to the point where he's like, doesn't matter. Because again, when he said, what is the cost of lies? Like his whole monologue was right before he checked out,
Yeah. Oh man. The one other quote that you have in here, I know we're sticking to our 30-minute tight window. Okay, so part of the recovery efforts, there were so many times where they needed volunteers or basically to sentence people to death essentially by like exposing them to radiation. Not literally, but literally. And so they needed some coal miners to do some digging. And again, I don't know all the logistics. Like the science behind so much of this is hard to comprehend. But after they put the fire out, they needed to do some digging, and they asked these coal miners to basically like quite literally sacrifice their lives. And when they're approaching them, the miners are like, no BS, right? And he was like, oh, the radiation exposure, like trying to like beat around the bush. And the head was like, don't lie to these men. They work in the dark. They see everything. And that was so sad, that scene for me, because the brave volunteers, like, well, it's hard because they were volunteers, but it was also like a state mandated thing, right? Because it was like they came with guns and it was like you're voluntold. But all of these people that had to die to solve the problem of prideful men is crazy. Even Barry Keoghan's character and all the soldiers, yes, they're voluntold, and yes, some of them enlisted, some were held at gunpoint. But how many lives were offered up? You know what I mean? Just for the decisions of a few prideful men is crazy. But I think that's why this show's so good.
Yeah, because it speaks so much, I think, to society, and it speaks so much to like the cycles of whatever history and communities, societies, republics, countries where it reminded me of. I just watched The Big Short. I say just watch. I watch it all the time to go to sleep and stuff. But when at the end, when they're like, they'll blame. They're like, oh, all the bankers, got arrested, all these people, they resolved, all the people that were responsible got punished. And they're like, just kidding. Only one banker got arrested. One. And then they said, and of course, they blamed exactly what Steve Carell said they're going to blame. It was the immigrants. It was the poor. It was like the daily everyday people. And this was like the blue collar workers, the 12-hour shift coal miners who are literally breathing in soot and damaging their bodies even prior to Chernobyl, so that cities and people can have electricity, so they can have power. And then they are told to do this by people who wouldn't do it themselves, except for that one general guy who's the military. They said, you can't get close. You have to get really close in a car to test the Rontgen thing. And he said, fine, I'll do it myself. I was like, hell yeah, what a badass. But everyone else fucking sucked. And when it came to those whatever. Okay, seriously, the last thing I'll say, I'll let Eric close this out, talk about character development. I thought it was one of the best turns of a character, Boris Shcherbina, Stellan Skarsgård, how he came in like strong, didn't believe it, telling people to fly over. I want to look down into that. And then him watching later in the show where the helicopter flew over it and literally just fell apart midair. And him to have to think like, that was almost us because of my ignorance. That was almost us because of me. And then as he slowly started realizing this is a bigger problem than we have, and then when they got to that conversation, dude, when they got to that conversation at the end, right at that recess between the trial, he's talking to Legazov and he's talking about how he's like, you even told me and I believed you that I would deteriorate, my skin cells would break, I would start falling apart. But time passed on. And again, pride. He's like, I didn't think it would happen to me. And here I am coughing up blood and I'm going to be dead soon. And then how he said, Legazov, it was you. It was all you. And then Legazov goes, do you not understand? I know stuff, but they heard me, but they listened to you. Every single time I needed something, you got it. He's like, I need 5 tons of sand. They got it. We need a fucking space Land Rover. They got it. But that, when he said, I believed the state that it wasn't a big problem is because they sent me to clean it up. He realized how he was viewed by the state, how people are used, how he's unimportant, how he's replaced, yet he had the most power to get shit done. And for him at the end in the courtroom, when Legazov was, they're like, no, you don't need to say anymore. And Shcherbina stands up and says, let them finish. And then they're like, okay, now you can finish. It was just, again, reiterating and impacting that they heard Legazov in this whole entire show, but it's actually this man in power for the state, whatever he represents, that they listen to. And it's such a cool testament to Legazov when he said they mistakenly sent the best man they could have. They mistakenly sent a good man for this project, because anyone else would have been a fucking Dyatlov. Anyone else would have been a KGB leader. Anyone else would have been the prime minister, whoever it was trying to hide. So that I thought was so sick. Like that whole development, character, dialogue. This movie's dialogue, dude's on point. Okay, I'm done. You can.
No, it's so incredible. And they did it in such a short amount of time. But from him being the leader, a head comrade, saying, I didn't think it would happen to me, all the way to that dad at the first episode, 20 minutes in, who was like, the fire's over there. The only people in danger are over there. I'm not. It's not going to happen to me. And he was on the bridge of death. So from like the lowly, just general homeboy in the street, all the way up to the comrade, like everybody has that feeling of like, until it impacts me, till I actually see my skin peel, I don't believe it to be an issue. So,
and it's too late.
Incredible. Thanks everybody for listening and tuning in. Please go watch Chernobyl. It's 5-piece, really easy to get through. We're not recommending anything crazy like Gossip Girl, where you have to spend, quarter one and quarter two of your year, digesting it. So anyways, thanks for listening. Subscribe to Sweet and Condensed. That's it. Thanks. Goodbye.